My name is Chris, and this is my favorite Mai Tai.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of My Favorite Mai Tai, and today I am with my good buddy Chris. We've known each other for a very, very long time, and
It's been a while.
we've we are friends from, we used to climb together.
Yeah.
You still climb.
Still climb.
I don't because I'm afraid of heights, and you may not know this, but Chris is some of the reasons why this whole show or the Tiki with Ray show even existed at all. Because forever I used to blog, and that was all I did. And I remember like kicking around the idea about wanting to do video. And one night we were on the roof of your old apartment drinking Baijiu. Was that what it's called?
Yep.
Which is strong alcohol from China. You think tastes great. I think tastes like lighter fluid, but that's another story. And we were just drinking a lot, and I was talking about like, man, I really want, I'm thinking about wanting to do video, but I don't know. It's like equipment you'd have to get, and I don't know how to do any of that. And in a drunken stupor, you're like, you know what? Well, tell you what, I'll buy it. And I think you literally went on Amazon and ordered like a GoPro, and I think a microphone, and like a stand, like some kind of a thing. And
It was
then
a bundle deal.
yeah, a couple days later, you got it. And then we started messing around. And actually, the very, very first video, the Tiki with Ray show, was actually with Chris.
It'll never be aired.
It exists. I have it. You and I were on the video, and we actually filmed at McMenamins up in Anderson School, which is in Bothell, which is about 45 minutes north of here.
Yeah, pretty close.
And I think it's fitting to bring that up because today we are going to do a McMenamins Mai Tai. Before we get into the McMenamins Mai Tai, the more important question is, well, what is McMenamins? So Chris, how would you describe McMenamins?
Well, I would definitely say it's a Pacific Northwest brand. Two brothers started a brewery 20 to 30 years ago. Do you remember?
I'll take either of those.
Yeah, so they started about 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. Opened up a brewery, then started making a chain of it, opened up other breweries. They then went on to purchase some big locations like the Edgefield, which is the old Poor Farm out in Portland. Yeah. They also bought the Roadhouse at Cornelius Pass, as well as many other locations. Then they decided that they wanted to do more than just beer. So then they started doing a bunch of, they've got a hold of a French still, which they keep out at the Cornelius Pass Roadhouse.
Oh, okay.
And then they have a German still that they keep over at the Edgefield.
Nice. And the cool thing about McMenamins is that, just as Chris said, they are a local Pacific Northwest chain. And what they do is they'll get these old, just like you said, they get these old buildings or older historic buildings. Yeah. And then they'll maintain the integrity of them, and then like put in like a bar or a restaurant or a hotel or whatever it is. I mean, like the Edgefield. I mean, that's like a whole complex.
Right. So what they do is they kind of like they preserve the building.
Yeah.
Anderson is a good example of this, right? So it's a school.
Yep.
They preserve the school. They don't tear anything down. What they do is they go through and kind of restore as much as they can, but then they add the McMenamins flair. So they'll go in, they'll paint all the pipes with like funny little faces. They'll paint the walls. And what else? I mean, they'll install fire pits to kind of bring a lot of character to life. But then they'll do things like the Anderson School. They'll take the principal's office. They convert it to a small little bar.
Yep.
The old groundskeeper, they turn it into a whiskey shack. So they take interesting nooks and crannies and they turn them into really interesting bars. And if you ask, they even have the paperwork that gives like historical references. If you walk through the school, you'll see that they actually like preserve a lot of the memory and a lot of the events that actually happened in the school. So it's a very unique experience.
Yeah, and actually McMenamins Anderson School up in Bothell, just as Chris said, was a school. It was a campus, and they took over the whole thing. Like the main building, like the oldest building, that they converted that into hotel rooms.
Yep.
Then there was one of those kind of those high schools where you walk out and you'd have different buildings, and then like the wood shop. And then that's one thing. And then there's the tavern. I think that's the fine dining
Tavern on
one.
the square. Yeah.
Then there's like a giant like convention center area, not a convention center area, like an events area that you like people can do like weddings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was, but yeah, that also has the movie theater.
Yeah, the
They
movie
actually play
theater's right
movies.
there.
Yeah.
And then what they did is there was a pool, like the building that had the pool was in its own building. They literally converted the entire thing into a tiki bar. And what they did is they kept the pool. They made it kind of more level across the board. I think it's like 4 feet as far as it goes. But it's the full size pool, and then they built the tiki bar like above it. And then you kind of like look down into the pool while you're drinking your Mai Tais and stuff like that. And the interesting thing about McMenamins too is, just as Chris said, they have their own beers. They've had their own list of beers for like a long, long time. And they have been making different spirits.
Yep.
And just like you were saying, the whiskey. And for example, like we've spent many hours in that shack doing whiskey tastings, because you can buy like samplers and stuff like that. And then they started to do rum. And what really sparked my interest was that you're like, hey, I got this McMenamins Orgeat. And I'm like, they're making their own Orgeat? And it's like, and then I get it, and you're like, yeah, there's like a recipe, like how to do a McMenamins Mai Tai. And I'm like, what? You know? And then of course it shows, like it has like, you used McMenamins rum, and you actually use 2 of the different rums that McMenamins actually makes to make this Mai Tai. So let's talk about this Mai Tai a little bit, because I was looking at the ingredients for this, and it calls for like everything's like a half ounce of the Orgeat, half ounce of the Curacao, half ounce of the gold rum, what's this called?
3 Rocks.
3 Rocks rum, and then a half ounce of the dark rum, and that's like, or is that an overproof? It's an overproof rum.
Yeah.
And how much lime juice? Half ounce?
Half ounce. I think they just kept it simple for everybody. I think they're like 1 ounce, half ounce for everything else.
Yeah, I mean, and the interesting thing I noticed, like, because I kept on asking, is like, okay, well, what about the simple syrup? And you're like, it doesn't say simple syrup. I'm like,
I believe it's part of the Orgeat.
Probably. I'm guessing that the Orgeat is probably a little sugary than most. Interesting thing, half ounce for the lime juice. Usually it's a 3/4 of an ounce or an ounce. So I'm curious to see how that is. Usually for the Orgeat, it's only like 1/4 of an ounce. And the same thing with the Curacao, is usually like 1/4 of an ounce. So you're right. I think them upping up the Orgeat and upping up the Curacao takes care of the sweetness. And do you know, so the rums are made, do you know where these rums are made? Is that local here or down in Portland, or?
It's all going to be in Portland.
Yeah.
For example, their stills are either the Edgefield or the Cornelius Pass Roadhouse. For example, you'll see that the overproof rum is actually from the Cornelius Pass Roadhouse. And then you'll actually see the 3 Rocks rum is from the Edgefield.
Yeah, let me see this too. And then what kind of rum do they call it? Yeah, so it's literally just their rum. So I'm curious to see how this Mai Tai is going to taste, because traditionally, you're using Jamaican rum in a Mai Tai. But obviously this rum is not from Jamaica, it's from Oregon. So I'm curious to see how this is. And I'm wondering, is this the Mai Tai, if you order a Mai Tai at McMenamins, is this the Mai Tai?
That is a good question. I believe it's bartender's choice. So I don't believe that they will be following the recipe off the back of the Orgeat.
Yeah, because I've had the Mai Tai at the Anderson School. I'm curious to see how that is going to taste compared to these two. One last thing. These glasses you can actually buy at McMenamins.
Yeah, and that one actually is from McMenamins.
And you only had one, so I figured I'd bring another one. This is from Mama's Fish House in Maui. But so I figured like we should both be drinking at least similar glasses. But yeah, you can even buy your own. They got Tiki mugs. They sell Tiki mugs at McMenamins.
They do.
They sell the glassware. I have another like Tiki glass mug that's pretty cool. So yeah, if you're ever up in the Pacific Northwest, you definitely want to check out McMenamins. And there's a lot of different locations. As far as Tiki bars are concerned, They have 3. There's the Kapu Hut, which is in the North Bank in Eugene, which was their first tiki bar. The second one was North Shore Lagoon up here in Anderson School. And then a couple years ago, they opened up the Elks Temple down in Tacoma. Really, probably like one of my favorite places. And again, like that place has like 2 or 3 restaurants, hotel, a giant ballroom, and they have a tiki bar down in the basement called...
It's actually in the pool.
Oh, it's where the pool used to be.
Yeah, well, like literally the walls are the walls of the pool, and when you like take the stairs down into the tiki bar, you're walking down the steps of the pool.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Like I knew that was the pool, but I didn't know that it was the pool.
You were in the pool.
That is awesome, and that place is called the Old Hangout. Interesting thing too is all 3 of the tiki bars are their own thing. They have their own experience. The drinks menu for all 3 places are different. I think the Jungle Bird is kind of the same on all of them. I think you can maybe get a Mai Tai at all 3 places. But each McMenamins location, even outside of like tiki bars, is a unique experience. And do you know how many total locations there are?
I don't, because a lot of times they get intermixed with the different bars at the locations.
Gotcha.
So you'll see something like 140, but then you'll realize that 5 or 6 of them are all in one location. So, I mean, I believe it's probably somewhere around 80 or 90 locations.
Yeah, and there's people that go visit all of those locations, and actually they have a passport that you can get.
They do, and that's a really fun experience, and you will make your money back on that passport.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Yeah, because every place you go, you get a stamp, and then once you fill up the stamps from different places, you get like one time literally like one night we went to like a couple different McMenamins locations that were in Seattle, and then we went up to Mill Creek, and then somehow I had enough stamps that got me a free burger.
Yep.
That night. And if you fill up the passport, what do you become?
Oh, you become a cosmic tripster, and then you get several free nights stay. I think it's 3 nights free stay.
Yeah.
You get happy hour for a year. Used to be for life, but they've changed those rules.
People are living too long.
Well, too many people actually completing the passport, I think. And then you get invited to the Cosmic Tripster Party every year. And it's a live concert. Oh, and you also get concert tickets to any concert you want that year.
Yeah, and I think, how much does it cost to get the passport? Like $30 or something like that?
I believe they've upped it to 45.
Oh, 45.
It used to be 30, 35, and now 45.
Yeah, and you are a Cosmic Tripster.
I am. I've completed it. I've gone to every location.
And you're starting over. And this is actually a McMenamins shirt from Roseburg. And the whole funny thing about Roseburg is at the very, very bottom of Oregon. It's the furthest away McMenamins. So if you actually show up, all you gotta do is just show up, get your passport stamped, and then you get your free shirt. Yeah. And I did. I was coming back from a road trip from California. And I stopped in Roseburg. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what size do you want? 2X, here you go. And I got my burger and I left. But yeah, so I actually got this shirt for free because I have the passport. So yeah, if anyone out there, if you're coming up to the Pacific Northwest at all, you have any questions about McMenamins or which one should you go to, or any questions at all, don't be afraid to reach out to me, and I'll tell you where to go. And if you're coming up my way, maybe I'll even meet up with you. But let's get down to making this drink, and I'm really curious to see how this goes. All right, Chris, let's make this Mai Tai.
All
and
right.
We're going to do it together since we're both McMenamins enthusiasts. And the first thing, as always, I always like to fill up the glass with the amount of ice that I'm going to use to make the drink with. And then I dump it in, which I did. And then you add a little bit more just on top for dilution. So we already filled that up with ice. It's in here. And they always say a good thing to do is you always start off with the cheaper ingredients first and then work your way up. So that way if you mess up, you're not losing so much. So first up is the ½ ounce of lime juice.
Yep. ½ ounce of everything.
A ½ ounce of everything. That makes it easy, especially when you're drinking at your own party and it's getting a little bit later. You're like, how much was in those So the next thing is the orgeat, and this is a 1/2 ounce too. It smells really good. It smells almondy, a little sugary, but again, just like you were saying, they're probably compensated without the simple syrup. They put that in here. Okay, so only a 1/2 ounce of the Gold Run. Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting.
They like to make it stiff.
Yeah, 1/2 ounce of the curacao. It doesn't really say what type of curacao to use, but I think we all agree that if you're going to use a curacao, this is the one to go with, the Pierre Ferrand curacao. I highly recommend it. If you don't have a bottle of it, buy some. It's not cheap, but it's definitely worth it, and you'll have it for like a long, long time.
This is actually the bottle McMenamins sells.
Do they sell it there?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. You can't go wrong if McMenamins has it for sale. But that
you can buy all 4 bottles at McMenamins.
Yeah, everything, like literally everything that you see in front of us, you can buy at the McMenamins except the Pyrex mixing glass and the various shot glasses that we're using to dump the things.
Well, they have plenty of shot glasses.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of shot glasses too. Okay, so 1/2 ounce of the dry curacao, and then 1 ounce of the high proof rum. Let's shake this boy up. There we go. There is the McMenamins Mai Tai. And we are back. And I am really, really curious to see how this Mai Tai tastes. So let's give this a shot.
Sure. Well,
here's to you and here's to the brothers McMenamin.
what's the verdict?
I like it. I like it. It is definitely sweet. It's definitely a sweeter Mai Tai. But I think that's probably intentional because I think probably most people that are going to be going to a McMenamins, and if they order a Mai Tai, they're probably not looking for like a really boozy drink. I think they want something that's a little bit sweeter. I think for a lot of people, when they want a Mai Tai, they think of like the Mai Tai that you normally get at a restaurant or a bar that has like the grenadine and the pineapple juice, and they're probably expecting something a little sweeter. I think this delivers. It's a 44. It's a 44 Mai Tai. It definitely is. And I've actually had the Mai Tai at the North Shore Lagoon. And I think this is actually better than that one. What are your thoughts?
I like it. But like you said, it's definitely on the sweeter side. Mm-hmm. They do actually recommend floating some dark rum across the top, so maybe that would remove some of the sweetness.
Yeah, that definitely make it more boozier.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe it's a very strong drink. It's pretty good. It's got some good notes. You can taste some of the sour and the complex flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very enjoyable drink.
Yeah, I mean, and I know you're not really like a big sugary kind of person. And so if you're saying that you at least like it, I mean, I guess that's saying something. But I definitely think that this would be a great drink, like say if you're going to have a party. And say you were going to have a lot of people that were there that don't know anything about Tiki or into Tiki drinks. I think this would be a perfect Mai Tai for them to make. And because it doesn't have a Jamaican rum in it, doesn't have that funk that normally would be there. But it still is a tasty drink. And it is good. I think it's very good. And I think if I was at a McMenamins and if they could make this Mai Tai, I'd definitely order it. The Mai Tai that I've had at the North Shore Lagoon is very, very limey. I think they use like a full lime.
Well, again, I mean, I think it's a matter of bartender's choice.
Yeah.
So it probably would depend on the bartender you get.
Mm-hmm. But this is definitely a drink that's worth making. And again, if you're interested in making this drink yourself, the recipe for the Mai Tai is on the back of the orgeat. And it has everything that you need. Again, just as Chris said, you can buy everything that you would need to make this drink at the McMenamins. The cherries are your little flash, right?
Well, they actually sell these at McMenamins.
Oh, do they?
The only thing you actually cannot buy would be the limes.
Yeah, you can't buy limes at the McMenamins.
No.
But outside of that, you can get everything else. And if anyone out there, if you're into trying this drink, give it a shot and let me know what you think. And I'll tell you what, McMenamins is a really cool establishment, and I like to support them. I like to support them because they're local. I think they have an original and a unique thing going on, and a lot, like for example, just taking this out, I remember at the North Shore Lagoon, like that's in Bothell, and Bothell is a little city that's north of Seattle, and like there'd be no reason for anyone to ever go to Bothell. And then the North Shore Lagoon opens up, and now it's like a destination. Like people will go up there for the weekend, they'll stay at the hotel.
Yeah, it's booked out. It's hard to get to. I mean, another good point of McMenamins is they support a lot of the local organic companies.
Yep.
One of the big things, like you'll notice, like all the ketchup and mustard that's brought out is all Portland Ketchup, which is an organic ketchup company out of Portland. They are very Portland-centric, so I mean, if you really want to experience a lot of the McMenamins, highly recommend going to Portland to experience it.
Yeah.
But we do have some here in Seattle, and there are some in like Bend, Oregon, and other Pacific Northwest locations.
Yeah, and maybe someday you'll become a cosmic tripster, just like my good buddy Chris here. Let's enjoy these Mai Tais. Cheers.
Cheers.
Want to support the Tiki with Ray show and look cool doing it at the same time? Then head over to tikiwithray.com and buy yourself a Tiki with Ray shirt. They're only $20. Tony Canapa did the design, and they're screen printed in America.